Hi, I'm Lewis.
And I'm Lee.
The two of us are longtime tech enthusiasts, and we've been studying the VR industry for a very long time.
That's right. In fact, we set up an HTC VIVE at our office back in 2017 and even had a business selling mobile VR headsets before that.
Ever since, we've been following the VR industry and have been playing as many demos and experiences as we can.
Just last month, we tried the latest headsets from HTC, Meta, and PlayStation at CES. And in this video, we're going to share with you everything you must know before you buy a VR headset in 2023.
Even if you're not buying and you're just nerding out about tech, we're going into the nerdy little details in this video.
Okay, Lewis, where do we start? We have three headsets at the front of this virtual reality race. The Meta Quest Pro, the HTC XR Elite, and the PlayStation VR2.
I mean, I think we should probably start out with something that almost everybody has at least tried out by now, and that's the Meta Quest Pro.
Okay, so let's start with that. But before we dive in, we should give ourselves a framework for grading these companies so we can evaluate them against each other in a bit more of a professional way.
Cool. What do you think?
So I'm thinking we do a table and we keep track, and Storm will help us out in grading these different headsets. And we rate them for build quality, software, hardware, comfort, immersion, and price.
Sorry, who's going to be doing that?
Storm.
Hey, guys.
Hey, producer Storm.
Hey, yeah, and I'll be scoring the hosts on their ability to score this technology.
Hell yeah.
We'll see how we do. All right,
well, let's start with the Meta Quest Pro.
Sweet. So we both had the chance to try the Meta Quest Pro, not in a direct demo, but a bunch of people at CES were actually using the Meta Quest as kind of their headset of choice to demo their technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I have a Meta Quest 2, at home. And I mean, I love that device. It's the cheapest device. Well, maybe not the cheapest device you can get at the moment, but it's definitely the best value you can get in terms of VR headsets, in terms of the standalones. So something that the Quest has a huge advantage of compared to other standalones in this area is the software. I mean, it's all Android-based. Almost everything you have is Android-based at the moment, but they have the exclusives, they have the IPs, they have the software that's basically running everything behind it.
And they've got Zuckerberg bankrolling as much software as possible to make it work.
Yeah, and they also have been making huge pushes to developers for developing applications on their own device. I mean, obviously there's pros and cons to that, but for the most part, more developers are exclusively listing on the Meta Quest Store for a reason. And since they also have a huge market share, developers are just naturally going to go there anyway, right? When you have a huge market, developers want a return on their investment, on their time, so they're going to play it. They're going to put it there. So that's definitely the pros of the Meta Quest in its current stance right now. Now, let's also talk about the build quality of the device. I actually really like the build quality of the device. It looks pretty cool. I mean, I wouldn't say compared to some of the other things that are on this list, it doesn't look as nice, but it is really nice. So I'm going to have to give it an 8 in that area.
For build quality?
For build quality.
Yeah, I would say that the Quest Pro, it does have a solid build. I wasn't super happy with how you could adjust it or how it fit on your head without having a top strap. But overall, it's pretty good quality materials and pretty lightweight.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. The software gets an 8 as well, as there is a great variety of content you can choose. Sadly, it is stuck behind a Meta account. So I know there's huge controversies. I mean, at first you had to start off with a Facebook account and they're like, oh, we're sorry, we're going to stop this. And then now you have to do a Meta account. So it's almost like, the Trojan horse, right? That's not what's good about the Meta Quest at the moment line of products.
But let's talk about the hardware, because obviously software they're crushing at. They have lots of money. They're getting exclusives, and developers are going where the biggest player in the market is, which is currently Meta's business.
Yeah.
But hardware, although impressive in some regard, I think there was a lot of hiccups as far as design decisions that they made. And these are reasons why somebody may not want to buy the headset. So, for example, the headset only has a couple hours of battery life. This is probably part of the reason why they only have little 1080p type displays, because the 4K displays would have eaten up even more of the battery life. Not to mention that the mixed reality, which is kind of powered by these cameras on the front of the display, the mixed reality is pretty meh. I would say it's
very average.
Yeah, the level of distortion, all of the different, it doesn't feel real. It is all the different things that make it feel not real. When you watch the ads like that Meta Quest puts out about these cool AR worlds, everything is crystal clear with these 3D objects, but when you actually use it, it is pathetically far behind what they're displaying in the marketing. And
you got to admit, though, I mean, the thing is that in the current state of mixed reality, like, you know, we've also tried the AR glasses as well. Magic Leap, everyone that has
HoloLens.
it, make sure you guys check that out, by the way, up here. But the thing is that the issue with it at the moment is that we're not ready for that kind of AR. So the best way to do it is through mixed reality.
I agree.
But I do think that their implementation of it, which for those, they just take their black and white overlay. So on the Quest 2, you might have seen, Lee, I know Lee's seen this, but if you haven't, it's just a black and white overlay that makes it so that you can see everything, but it literally looks like a military camera or something.
Yeah.
No, but then what ended up happening is that they just put a color pass-through overlay over top of it. So there is technically color, but it's kind of like stitched together through software.
Yeah, and that's where the distortion. That's where the distortion is really bothersome for me. I think the way HTC did their mixed reality was just a bit cleaner. When I was looking at my hands and navigating the mixed reality experiences, I found like it was sharper and it felt closer to real. And I remember the guys at the HTC booth did also describe that the way they do their proportions and the way they're like kind of like their algorithm behind stitching together all the footage is actually designed to not make you feel motion sick versus being accurate. And they explained to us that like accuracy actually isn't necessarily what you want. You want it to behave in such a way that it doesn't make you feel sick or
absolutely
out of touch. So in that respect, I think the hardware, was kind of a fail as well. Additionally, the MetaQuest Pro has a battery issue. It doesn't last very long at all. And you can't even swap the batteries. You actually have to charge it.
Yeah.
And for a product that is marketing itself as a professional workspace tool, you don't have enough time to get immersed into their reality worlds. If you're going to spend a day or even a half day in the MetaQuest, you're going to need 2, 3, 4 hours of battery life, not 1.5 hours to 2 hours. It's just not anywhere near enough. So I think they definitely didn't nail some of those hardware choices. And I also am not happy with the fact you don't have a top strap because what I found was that it like kind of squeezes on your forehead and like leaves even a mark. Not for me, but for other folks. And I thought, it could have been more comfortable for something you're going to wear at work, right?
What that is the issue at the moment is that the battery life is so small. And also too, I mean, this is also what's funny is that when we look at things like MetaQuest Pro and the other ones that we're going to be talking about today is that, we're kind of merging now virtual reality into our everyday life. How can this be a lifestyle device versus what was strictly a gaming device? So to get back onto the scoring here, comfort for me was definitely a 7. I thought, I did have issues with that. Having to take it on and off was not that good. The immersion, I thought, was a 7 because you do feel truly immersed in one of these Quest objects. So at the moment, the quality of the headset has to be low in order to have a long playthrough. I mean, long as in like only 2 hours. But I mean, if it's any more high quality, it would just die on you or get too hot. It's still very immersive after long sessions. And like, there's so many times now where like I take it off and I'm just like, holy crap, like I'm in my house right now, like there are moments like that. But with the color display, as we mentioned before, it's not that impressive in terms of that. And it actually makes my head hurt a little bit. So,
and even the pixel sharpness, like being the like 1920 by 1800 pixels per eye, it's not going to be like what you get in the PSVR2, which we'll talk about with that level of resolution.
Something that we need to talk about as well is like, and this kind of comes in with the price point, is $1,500 USD. And that's very steep for a device for such a niche audience. So we're at that's $2,200 Canadian. And that's very expensive for someone like us because it doesn't only last for 2 hours, but they are targeting it towards a more professional niche. So for professionals who want to kind of use this as an office space, I have used the Quest 2 for a whole day, which again, do not recommend. Definitely took some lifespan off of me there. But this apparently makes it a lot better, but I just don't think it's there at the moment to truly determine if it is worth it.
Yeah, the MetaQuest Pro to me is a product that is not well positioned. I think they wanted it to be this, use for work. They thought that the professional enterprise world would take it forward. Knowledge workers, remote workers would help power the future of Meta. But the problem was that their software and experience wasn't there. So now they've got this product that's got these specs that don't even serve the audience it's trying to build for, because it doesn't have the battery life, it doesn't have the comfortability, but then it also has all these overkill features that you don't need if you just have a Quest 2.
Yeah.
So now they have this product that I don't know how well it's selling, but I can only assume not that well, because the average consumer is probably going to go for the Quest 2 because they probably will be fine with that. And the consumer that they're truly after isn't attracted to the Quest Pro. So I think this is a big mistake by Meta, and I think they'll definitely bounce back either with software by making working more impressive, or they're going to bounce back by making the Pro version of the Meta Quest more for gaming and longer battery life and performance, so that people that are serious about VR or mixed reality experiences can get a better experience, maybe similar to the PSVR2.
Yeah. So I give the price a 3 because
for value, and I think that's fair. I think it's pretty bad value, especially when they have another headset. How much is the Quest 2?
The Quest 2 is like $400 USD.
So like literally less than half.
Yeah.
So what are you paying for?
Yeah, you're paying for the color pass through. Of course,
which is shit.
Yeah, and there's more shit. There is more obviously power to it, and the controllers are also better too. But yeah, it is just at the moment it does need improvement.
So we've got build quality at 8, software at.
I put 8 as well for software.
I think that's fair.
Yep.
Hardware though.
Hardware I put at. Oh, I don't think I put hardware there.
I'm
going to put a 6.
I would put a 5, honestly, because I think
I'm okay with 5, yeah.
They could have done so many things better from a specs perspective, and hardware includes things like the battery, so I think a 5 is fair. Comfort, I think it's fine, but it's definitely not great, so I think 7 is probably fair for that.
Yep.
And then for immersion, what do you got for immersion?
I have 7 for immersion.
Okay, cool. So overall, a pretty good headset. I think value for money. The Meta Quest Pro isn't maybe our top pick.
Definitely not. I feel like it makes more sense to wait for the Quest 3 to come out for the value consumer.
So next up, the PSVR2, the one that I was most excited to try at CES. I think this is a great transition from the Meta Quest Pro, because we just finished talking about how, for them, I think maybe the better choice in the future would be to pursue a more pro gaming experience, and one that maybe could be comparable to the PSVR2. So let me just start by saying a few things that I know Lewis can't address because he didn't get a chance to try it at CES because we were unable to both book demos.
Jealous.
And let me just say what I loved about some of the categories that obviously you can't cover. So first of all, build quality I think was great. The PSVR2 feels like a very polished, well-rounded product. It just feels done. You know how when we use the VR headsets, we always feel like there's something finicky or there's always a quirk. Every headset has a quirk. It's almost a deal breaker. The PSVR 2, from a build quality perspective, it was so comfortable. It was loose on my head. That was an interesting piece. Typically, I need the headset to be super tight for it to work. The PSVR 2 didn't need it to be super tight. It was just loose on the head, but stable and very, very comfortable. So build quality, I think it did superb. I would probably give it a 9.
Cool.
And I think it's because they built it for comfort, which is why I would also give comfort at least. I would give it a 9, but because it's tethered and you still connected to the PlayStation 5, I would say I would give it an 8 for that.
8.
Last but not least, the immersion, incredibly high quality experience. I think I don't know what the resolution is exactly. I think it is, so it's 2040 by 2040, but they're OLED HDR displays that do 120 hertz. So these are displays that you didn't see the pixels. There was no grain. There was no noise. It was incredibly sharp. And I know from the haptics and the sound quality and the game visual quality, they do have that faux-vetted rendering. So wherever your eyes are going, it focuses its processing power to be really sharp. So I would say from the parts that you didn't get a chance to experience, they were all great.
I would assume too that the immersion, because again, it kind of ties in with software a little bit. You can, on a Quest 2, you could arguably make something more immersive than something on the highest quality headset. And I think from looking at your demo there, it seems like with the mix of the hardware and software, it was a really immersive experience. I mean, it's also gaming. So I'll also say a 9 for immersion because of that specifically.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's almost unfair because the PlayStation VR 2 is not a standalone like the Quest Pro and the HTC. But I think ultimately people that are using any of these headsets are using them to have fun with them.
Yeah.
I don't think people are using any of these for work, no matter what Zuckerberg's trying to accomplish.
Well, like, I mean, that brings a great point into price, because here we are talking about, like, if we want a PSVR2, okay.
How much is that going to cost?
Yeah, so let me just see here. PSVR2, because like with a PlayStation, so let me just see how much a PlayStation 5, right? That costs like $500 or something. So it looks like it's going to cost about $1,000 USD for this thing right here.
To get the PlayStation and the headset?
Yeah, about roughly. So, I mean, between $1,000 and $1,200 US dollars, you're going to be able to get the whole entire, which again, it is a very steep investment. But when we're talking about the standalone things here, MetaQuest Pro is at $1,500 US dollars for a standalone. And that is just with the microchip, like the Snapdragon that is in it, that is powering all your games for only like 2 hours long. Now with the PlayStation VR2, you have the PlayStation that is doing all of that for you. And so again, you can't get the same level experience. So I think that because of that, it almost just makes it more sense to buy a PSVR2 if you're doing this for the gaming. However, sorry, any thoughts about that, Lee?
Well, I think the $1,000 package compared to what we're comparing today, which is like two like around $1,500 standalone headsets, it's almost unfair to compare the two.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, PlayStation delivered on the experience that I think consumers wanted, and they made it good enough to be worth the money. I would rather you make something expensive and then I get a tremendous amount of joy and fun out of it versus a company pricing something so cheaply that it doesn't end up kind of meeting the expectations of the user.
Yeah. The one thing that we have to discuss too, though, is that the way that the HTC XR Elite and the MetaQuest Pro, it's almost like they're computers, while the PSVR2 is a peripheral. So the issue is that, yeah, maybe there is some cross compatibility in the future about PSVR2 being able to being used on using PC VR. HTC XR Elite and the MetaQuest Pro are already able to do streaming through the PC VR. I'm not sure about PSVR2, but because of that, like, it's almost like after the life cycle of the PlayStation 5, will we be able to still use it? That's something that we're not sure. We're almost vendor locked into the PlayStation 5, which also brings us back to the software. Now, PSVR 2, it's new. It's new. So there's not many, like you played the Horizon, which, I mean, again, the experience looked incredible.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Beautiful graphics, great experience, sound design, the whole thing. But at the end of the day, this is PlayStation. They've been dominating gaming for a long time. I anticipate there'll be tons of great titles as long as the market is telling them that they want more by buying the PlayStation VR 2. The first PlayStation VR didn't do that well. It didn't sell a lot of units. But here's the thing. One thing to think about is, several years ago when we had that HTC VIVE at our office, we had to buy a pretty expensive computer.
Yeah.
And then we had to buy the HTC VIVE with all the sensors and all of those pieces. And it ended up being thousands and thousands of dollars, right? Like what was an HTC VIVE? Like $3,000.
Oh, no. It would have
first
been
came out?
It would have been like $1,400 though, like at least more.
Okay. But still, like, this is $1,000 for the game console, which on its own is a great product, and then $500 for a really strong VR experience. I know it's much more expensive.
Less than that. It's about 12. It's about $1,100 for the whole thing.
Yeah, $500 for the headset.
Yeah, but you said $1,000 for the console.
No, for both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, $500 for the console, right? Roughly,
Yeah.
and then like $500 to $600 for the headset.
Yeah.
So I would say $1,100 for the total package is a good value when you're getting great gaming out of it. The one thing I would mention though is that I find the MetaQuest and the HTC XR Elite, they are great for bringing to your friend's house as a party trick at the office. But the PlayStation VR 2 is tethered, and then also the way it does the calibration. You got to put the headset on. It's like a digital calibration. It uses eye tracking, and then it like optimizes it. It's not something that you can just pass around the room. There's a bit of lag in that experience to like get everyone synced up. The one thing I will add though is because it does that like digital honing in and tuning.
Yeah.
The experience was flawless. I played for 30 minutes straight. I don't do a whole lot of VR like long-term endurance gaming. I don't game to begin with at all. And after I took the headset off, I had no headache, no motion sickness, no eye strain. It was phenomenal, and it was because everything was so well tuned. So I think if you're a user and you're worried about any of those things, the PlayStation VR 2 is probably going to be the easiest experience on your eyes and on your head.
Let's talk about the state of gaming in terms of pricing too. Like, so sure, of course, like if you want the price of something, or if you look at the price of the hardware itself, you know, you're already looking at some pretty decent competitive pricing, but we also have to talk about the state of gaming in terms of how much it costs per game. Now on the Quest, you know, and the HTC Vive, the games are much cheaper, and on PC games are generally more cheaper, but on the PlayStation, it's pretty known to be pretty expensive. Now, I am reading here that even one Resident Evil Village, which is very popular, Resident Evil 8, everybody, VR mode launches February 22nd for PSVR2 as free DLC. But of course, you have to buy Resident Evil 8. And the thing is, that's like a $90 game.
It's true, but I think at the same time, you know, even my Switch, you know, I'm paying $60-$70 for
Oh, it's expensive.
a game on the Switch.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, you are also spending $300 on the Switch itself. So again, it's more so apples to oranges. Like, again, I think we have to take the price of the games into consideration as well, because with HTC and MetaQuest, there's a lot of really good free experiences that you can use
But
within
the
the
PlayStation
headset.
we won't have that.
No chance in hell. No chance in hell. But price is at a 7 for me. But I'm rating software as a 5 for now, because I do think that the software lineup needs to get better, but I think it will.
Hey, how about we do this? I think I agree with you with the games, but the one thing you didn't get to experience was the calibration and setup software, and it was really good, and it was directly tied to the hardware. So I think we should bump up software to a 6.
I disagree. I mean, again, calibration software, that's good. I mean, that's good for the end user, but we need to, like, at the end of the day, people don't want to play calibration software.
I understand that, but I think it's one of those things that, as far as the whole build, they did a good job on.
They did, but again, that's why it needs to be at the end of the day, if your calibration software is the best calibration software to ever exist, but your games are just not there, like you're only playing like for 30 minutes a day, it's a 5, you know? I gotta give it a 5.
All right. Well, how about price? You said what for price?
I said 7 for price.
I think maybe we can go down to a 6 because it's still pretty expensive compared to these other two. And I also think they could have done a better job at pricing the headset.
Yeah.
Since it doesn't have any computation in it.
Okay. Yeah, fair. All right.
Immersion at a 9, is that so? That's only Lee's score, because for Lewis it was a 0 as you watched Lee have fun with being immersed.
It was an absolute 0. I hated every experience I've had
Because you just had to stand on
Yeah.
the sidelines because you went to the bathroom while Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got
Well,
to try it
they ran to the thing. They saw I went to the bathroom. Selfish.
He got schooled. You snooze, you lose. Okay. I mean, I think to move on to the HTC Elite XR Elite, we can leave that alone, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about how these three kind of compare to each other and what headset you should buy if you're looking to buy a headset. But let's talk about the HTC XR Elite. This is on the last day of CES. We went to the HTC XR Elite booth
At the Venetian, right?
at the Venetian.
At the Venetian.
And we got to try this out hands-on, and we had some great conversations with game developers, with the group behind the HTC XR Elite. And overall, the experience is great, but certainly some drawbacks. Lewis, what do you think about this HTC all-in-one?
Before we
mixed
go,
reality
can we
headset?
talk about how hilarious it was when we went there and they were talking about the MetaQuest Pro?
They love to talk about MetaQuest.
Oh, let me tell you, the reason why it's called the Elite is probably because of the elitism that they had at HTC. It was actually hilarious because every time we talk, anything we brought up about the Quest Pro, they'd be like, you know, like because they're just like idiots or something, right? It was honestly funny.
But you know what? To be fair, I think, you know, great companies like that are built because they're competing. And you can tell that there's a real competition in the world of VR, which is good for us as consumers because it means that they are at each other's throats. They're trying to beat each other. And I think they got so much satisfaction by being able to say to us and everyone else, we built a headset that we're not losing money on, that's cheaper than Meta's, where Meta's losing money on.
Yeah.
And it's better build quality. It's more comfortable. The specs are better.
Build quality, what do you think, Lee?
I think they're comparable. I think
so too.
Yeah, I would say they're probably the same. The
The
MetaQuest
look is better on the HTC XR Elite.
Oh, it's more slim.
It's I feel like, again, you wouldn't wear this out in public. So I'm not saying that you're going to be like, on the subway, will you look cool with your Meta Quest Pro? Probably not. You'll probably look like a doofus if you wear any of these in public. But I would look less like a doofus with the HTC XR Elite because it does kind of have like a nice glasses.
Yes. They thought about people with hair buttons like me. I liked that. They had the head strap, makes it nice and light on your head. It takes some of the weight off of your face. I liked that.
Yeah. Is that a main target demographic for them is man buns?
I asked them about that, and it was actually because of female customers, right? And they said that a lot of female customers struggle to get their hair in the Quest, and they spoke about the Quest, so they made sure to do it right with HTC Vive. So they did that well. Even the way that you can dial in your prescription if you have glasses. So people that have prescription glasses can wear the headset. There was a lot of little tasteful things, and then ultimately it was smaller, thinner, and I think lighter. It felt lighter, or at least more balanced.
It definitely was a bit more lighter. Can we talk about one thing though that's hilarious? So when we saw it, I think it's a detachable battery, but guess where it is?
On the back strap, right?
No, that's where the actual battery is, but the extension is on the nose part. So you get a Squidward looking ass device.
Wait, what? Let
Look.
me see a picture. Oh wow, I didn't notice that.
So it's like it is funny because they didn't have that at the booth, but it is hilarious because you have this Squidward ass looking thing, and it looks honestly hilarious. But overall, I'm going to say the build quality is a solid 9. I was really impressed with it.
I think we almost have to give them a 10.
A 10?
Because we gave Quest Pro an 8 and the PSVR a 9.
All right, 10 it is.
And
Let's do it.
I think with the price point, the quality that you're getting for the price point, it really is like top notch.
Yeah.
They've got 1920 by 1920 90 hertz displays. They have a 100-degree field of view, which is all right. They have the hot swapping battery ability, the very comfortable to wear, the great controllers. I found they had the hand tracking inside of the controller, which is cool. And they had great color pass-through, great cameras and sensors.
Hand tracking was a little bit weak, though.
It was.
We will get there to the software end of it. But the software, what do you think, Lee?
I think it's hard to say. They did speak about Quest and all of their exclusives and how they can't compete with that. And they're hoping that the developers will build experiences. We did try one game, which was like a kind of like a AAA game, and it honestly was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that experience. It was comparable to the PSVR2 as far as graphics and stuff, which I was really surprised by. And then we got to try a couple of other games. We did try this game that was like kind of a lame version of Guitar Hero. You're like a
sympathy or orchestrator.
Symphony orchestrator, and it was like you had to poke with your hands to tell the people playing instruments to do different things, and it kept losing my hand in the tracking, and the game itself wasn't that great. And overall, I think HTC is really leaning on game developers. They're basically building a platform and a hardware tool and saying we're hoping that the developers build great games here. So it's hard to say where I would rank their software because it's almost like they don't even have it. Do you know what I mean?
They do have their own like hub basically ability. It doesn't look as impressive. I mean, you can say what you want about the meta avatars, right? I know the Mark Zuckerberg legs, whatever, scary as shit. But I think it's like it works and it's comfortable. It's very polished. With HTC, kind of similar to you, it's like right now they do have great relationships with developers already. When I talked to the developers there, they did talk about how it was easy to port their existing PC VR games over to the HTC Vive, and I assume the Meta Quest Pro because it is all using the same engine for the most part. So I thought that was cool, but again, Zuck's buying all these exclusives, and when you are doing that in the standalone market, you like paying that extra $400 to get access to some maybe amazing games that they have access to, that might be the deal breaker. So I'm putting software at a 6 for now.
I think that's fair. I think it's a bit better than the PSVR2 because it's open and developers can build on it. It's not just PlayStation's, which apparently is also in some degree open, but it's a bit more restricted. And then
I'm picturing like Guitar Hero guitars, like how sick they looked. You could have all these different kind of guitars, and now I'm picturing just like, what can you do with the orchestra baton to like get custom ones of those?
It wasn't cool. It wasn't cool.
It wasn't that cool. No, it felt like a demo.
Yeah.
Like specifically just a demo, which I think maybe they actually just did.
No, they said the game was coming out. They said it was going to be released.
Yeah.
So
anyway, hardware. let's talk. I mean, we kind of already briefly talked about this, and you know what? For what it is, I'm a big fan of it. I think I put 10 here, but now that I'm thinking about the hand tracking, which I do feel like this is a software, like a software related thing. So
hard to say.
It's hard to say. I'm going to put it at a 9 for now.
I think it's fair. I would even have given it a 10 too, but I think 9's fair because the thing is, the hardware is top notch, comparable to the Quest Pro for less money and a better build quality than the Quest Pro. So I think hardware has to be a 9.
And I think it's 2 because, again, when we look at the meta, they started lower to higher price, while HTC Vive was reversed. They started off with the most expensive headsets. How can they reduce it enough to get to a lower price? And and let's talk about that price.
It's literally, we gave the Quest Pro a 3. We have to give this device a better rate than that.
Here's what I'm saying. Okay. So when I think about price, of course, is not just a number. It's in terms of value that you get for it. Here's the hard sell with the HTC XR Elite, or even just these new standalone VR headsets, is that compared to the Pico, or compared to the Quest 2 even, which is, they're still powerful devices.
Oh yeah.
They just don't have the color pass through. They don't have some of the more, like the pancake lenses and stuff. It's hard to still justify an $1,100 standalone mobile headset. But if you are really in the market for it, because I do think that there is like an advanced market that you could get into it, like some people who want to play VR chat, some of these like really set in stone games in VR, I think it's probably your best option in terms of now, but I'm going to say a 6 at the moment.
I'm okay with that. I think you're right in the fact that it's definitely better pricing than the Quest Pro, but at the same time, the overall value isn't 100% there just yet. I think with more games and experiences, that price value goes up. So it's almost like out of their control. So I don't blame them for having a low rank for their price. I'm really impressed with HTC's ability to put this product out for the price that they did, given that they're competing with people like Meta that are willing to lose money.
Yeah.
So good on them for that. But I'm okay with the 6. Yeah. As far as comfort, I honestly need to give them another 9.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
It was incredibly comfortable to wear and light and well balanced.
And the eyes, and for the comfortability of like you using it, like, with the eye tracking as well. I was able to use my phone really easily, because they said something about how it's easier to see close distance with it, which is more important, while in the Quest it was a bit different.
Yeah, the comfort, I have to say, it was top notch. Lightweight, well balanced, easy to put on, easy to take off, comfortable on the eyes. From an overall comfort experience, they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
And then last but not least, immersion. So we obviously are standalone. We are mixed reality. We are not going to have the quality that the VR2 from PlayStation is going to have.
No.
But I would say it was comparable to the Quest Pro.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to rate it the same. I'm going to rate it a 7 as well, because the reason I think this is because there's both pros and cons and everything. The color pass-through is way better on the HTC XR Elite, but the hand tracking was like, it was so annoyingly not there at times. And again, I don't know if this is going to be a software issue or anything, so this could be patched. So again, check out our full review once we get one here in person. But that was a huge immersion breaker for me. There's nothing that more, while I never get, like, hand tracking is amazing on the Quest Pro.
It's true.
So to me, that's the trade-offs, but overall, it all equals the same. So 7 for me.
We got out of 60. These 3 headsets scored kind of close. I mean, within 10 points. In last place, we have the Quest Pro, the 38 out of 60, mostly because the hardware was not as impressive when it comes to charging, battery swappability, overall quality, and then the price and the value. All those features for what? Yeah. And for the price that they were charging.
It's too expensive. The price brings it down so heavy.
When you compare it to the HTC Elite, definitely makes the price feel worse. And when you compare to their own just Quest Pro or just the Quest 2, it's the Quest 2 makes them look expensive with the Quest Pro. And then in second place, we have the PlayStation VR2 with 45 out of 60. And this obviously scoring really well for immersion, for great build quality and comfort and immersion, obviously, but also with a huge price tag. And then last but not least, in first place, the HTC XR Elite with a 47 out of 60 because it was great value for money and they did such a good job engineering and building the thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any quarrels with that order?
No, I kind of agree with it. But I mean, I hope at the end of the day, like when we take these numbers, I hope, you know, to the viewer who's watching, who is on the fence with buying one of these things, to maybe think about what your use case is at the end of it.
Yeah, I think for different people, different headsets are going to make the most sense. So if you are someone that's going to be doing a lot of gaming, and I'm talking about hardcore all-night gaming, it's going to let you play games that are really, really great, even though there's only a few of them. And they're going to be more immersive, better quality, better experience, easier on your eyes, easier on your head. And if you're just in your bedroom or in your living room, it doesn't need to be very mobile or easy to transport. If you're someone that wants to use it for work and you believe in Zuckerberg's, you know, Horizon Work Worlds or Horizon,
like metaverse
workspaces,
yeah.
You know, maybe the Quest Pro makes sense for the software reasons there, or if you've got a bunch of friends in that ecosystem, Quest Pro makes sense. And if you're someone that is really interested in the mixed reality gaming, there was one game I played when I was demoing the HTC XR Elite, and it was like a Battlestar Galactica. What was that? Sorry.
Galaga.
And I had a little action figure in my hands, and I could see my friends around. I could see Jason. I could see Lewis, and on top of them, I could see this other dimension of the world of these different enemy ships targeting me, and I was able to shoot them and destroy them in real time. And that was honestly one of the first glimpses of like AR experiences that I've been thinking about since, you know, I was a kid, right? Like this futuristic gaming world. So if you're really interested in those AR mixed reality experiences, the HTC does that, you know, better than the PSVR2 can. And if you believe in the developer ecosystem there, I think maybe that headset could be a great value too.
It's hard here because I think in terms of the Quest Pro, they do talk about like, I don't think VR is ready to work in at the moment. So I think the Quest Pro is a bit of a bunk. Like, I'm not going to lie. I don't think anyone should get the Quest Pro because I don't think that it provides the value that most consumers are looking for in really any area. I don't really see much. So I would avoid the Quest Pro and I would wait for maybe the next version of the Quest 3 that's coming out. For PlayStation VR2, it's great for gamers, but if you're a gamer, then you already probably are familiar with such devices such as the, you know, Valve Index or maybe some of HTC's existing VR headsets that exist for that, like the Vive, or something new, the new Pimax Crystal that's coming out as well. That's coming out for $1,500 as well, which we also demoed. Check out our video on that. But the issue is that with PlayStation VR2, it's great if you have PlayStation already. If you're looking to get into VR gaming, that also might be a great option. But at the same time, it's like, how much gaming are you going to be able to do in the long run? That's something that we can't decide. PlayStation is known to have created peripherals that they've never followed through with and have been bunk. And for the market, HTC Elite is definitely the best out of the standalone headsets. However, I am pretty optimistic that the Quest 3, the Pico 4, whatever is coming out after this is going to be cheaper and provide the same amount. But I do feel like we're also on the shift of more expensive standalone VR headsets. So for now, I would go with the HTC Elite if you're looking for something.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. The Meta Quest Pro kind of hurts itself because we know that the Quest 3 is coming out and it's probably going to come out at a better price point and arguably could have the same or better specs. So I would say the Meta Quest Pro is not a buy. And if you already have a PlayStation, the PSVR2 is a great option. If you already have the PlayStation, you've already invested half the cost into the console, and you get that VR gaming ability for just hundreds of dollars versus well over $1,000. So
you guys know throughout history when there's been 3 options given to dudes, the game that they have to play, right? Like the FMK with it. So
yeah, if you have to sleep with one, or you want to kill one.
All right.
We'll say F is for feeling. Which one are you feeling?
All right.
And so let's actually make it fun too. Like, money's not an object. You guys just like on the other 5 categories. One that you would like to love, one that you'd like to marry, like one that you'd like to try out like a few times, one that you'd like to have consistently, and one that you just want to kill off straight up.
All right. Kill is the Meta Quest Pro. Sorry, Zuck. I don't like legs aren't saving the metaverse. Feeling is the PlayStation VR2 because I think that it is an incredible device with lots of potential and lots of like Sony gaming. So fun, right? I want to play a couple games. But I'm going to marry the HTC XR Elite because I do feel like the longevity of it is much more than the PlayStation VR2.
You know, I want to provide a different opinion than Lewis, but I have to agree. I think I'm killing the MetaQuest Pro, and the PlayStation is something I want to play with alone in my bedroom. I want to have, I want to experience that, just me playing games. But the HTC XR is one I can take out and show my friends and bring to parties and be around in public. And that's what you want to marry in life, is someone that you can be proud to bring with you, and something that you can show the world. And as a mixed reality headset that's got great build quality, lightweight, you can honestly wear on your head at the office.
So
at a party.
You're into mixed.
I guess you could say that. I think that's the one I would take. But the PlayStation VR2, I would definitely feel it out and take it for a few rounds and enjoy it.
Nice.
So you guys are marrying the same one. So like brother husbands going on here.
Yeah. We have to share the same mixed reality headset. I guess.
It would be even worse if I said marry the PlayStation VR2 after you said that,
Yeah, that would be worse.
Yeah.
Here you can marry the PSVR2. I just took it for a few rounds.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. Did you agree with our opinions? What VR headsets are you looking forward to? Let us know in the comments below.
If you didn't agree, also tell us why. We'd love to hear what you have to say.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more VR, AR, and other tech news content. Are you on the go? Fast Forward is on everywhere that you listen to podcasts.
We also have short form content on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, where you can get little bits and bites of awesome, funny tech content every single day.
You can put little Lewis and little Lee in your mouth on short form content. Instagram Reels, YouTube Reels, shit.
Did you say in your mouth?
Yeah.
Did you mean in your pocket?
Oh, sure. I don't know. I just like, oh, yum. I'm getting little digestible pieces.
I see. It's a little weird.
Sus.